In this video, we'll be discussing the different facets of RIC operations. Among all the training that we receive as firefighters, RIC is probably one of the most important training that we do in terms of what we do for each other. RIC specifically deals with taking care of a downed firefighter. And so, as such, it's important that we become proficient in the training, that we understand the equipment, and that we realize the importance of making sure that we run an efficient RIC operation if it's necessary for us to go in and save one of our own. And so that's why we put this training video together. The sections that we're going to cover in this training video, the first portion will talk about just basically RIC equipment, what we carry, the complement that we carry inside the bag. The second portion, we're also going to talk about RIC packaging, the different ways to provide air for a downed firefighter. And in the very last portion, we're going to put it all together and we're going to go ahead and do a RIC deployment so that we can see exactly how the whole system works together. So stay with us for the training video. Again, this is very important information for all of us as firefighters. Okay, so the training we're going to do today is going to basically consist of a few different parts. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the RIC pack, and we're going to take a look and see what equipment we carry inside. Once we do that, we're going to take everything out of the compartment, and we're going to go ahead and do an actual deployment so that you can take a look and see where each of the individual pieces go and how your tarp should look when you're assigned to RIC, and what an in-ready position would be for that RIC tarp, and in case that you had to do a RIC deployment. The last portion that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and talk about all the different parts on the actual RIC bottle itself, the two different types of hoses and how they're used. And we're going to go ahead and take all the pieces, put them back together so that you can take a look and see how the pack should be placed back in service, ready to go inside the blue bag and back inside the compartment of the engine. All right, so first part is I'm going to go ahead and take out the RIC pack. All the RIC packs are carried in the same compartment on each of the engines, and all the RIC packs are set up the same way inside the blue bag. So let's take a look and see what's inside the compartments. We've got one side compartment. Inside this side compartment, we've got an extra SCBA mask, and you'll see where this ends up getting placed inside the pack once we do the actual deployment. So this goes inside this side bag. It's important to make sure that you take a look and see that there's a carabiner, because this is going to end up getting hooked onto the pack, so you need to have a carabiner on there, and it should be inside the bag and protected by the bag. It goes right inside this side compartment. All right, on one of the other compartments, you've got your tarp, and basically this is going to be the first thing that's going to come out. You're going to set up your staging tarp, and all your equipment and everything's going to go on to this tarp, and we'll talk about where all the equipment is going to come from a little bit later on, but this is your staging tarp. On the other side, you've got your Phoenix loops. You should have 3 to 4 Phoenix loops in the side compartment, and then along with that is going to be your tactical worksheet or checkoff sheet that it serves as a memory jogger, and then also for the person that's in charge of the that's the RIC group supervisor, that's a RIC group team leader, they're going to end up doing their drawing, and any types of exits or anything like that is going to go on here. And then also a memory jogger as far as what equipment goes on the tarp and what you should have available. Inside the middle compartment, we have the RIC bottle itself. And basically this is already set up with the drag tarp and all the equipment that you're going to need to take in with you when you go inside for a deployment. Now, I just want to make it really clear that when you do go inside, you will not take this blue bag. The only thing you're going to do is you're going to take this RIC bottle along with a drag tarp that's already attached onto it. So this is going to come out of the bag. The bag is going to be set aside. This is only for storage, and the only thing that'll go in will be this pack along with you and your Phoenix loops. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through an actual deployment so that you can see how everything will be set up. We have arrived on scene. We've already chosen the spot where we want to go ahead and set up our tarp. We're not going to really cover that right now. We're mostly going to talk about the deployment. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to open everything up and you're going to make sure that all your stuff is in there, right? Once you've checked out to make sure you have all your equipment inside the blue bag, then you're going to go ahead and grab our checkoff tactical sheet. You can hand this to the captain or the rig team leader, and they're going to go ahead and check in with the IC and figure out what the tactical objectives are going to be. Once they figure that out, they're going to do their 360. Got a little chart here where they're going to draw where the attack team went in, any other type of relevant information. And then there's also a little check-off list that allows you to kind of memory joggers to let you know what equipment you should have there. So this is going to be handed out. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to take each one of the Phoenix loops, and each of you will get a Phoenix loop. We recommend that you put them inside your pocket, but if you start hanging them around yourself or hooking them on, you're going to end up getting caught up on stuff. So it's much easier if you just throw it inside your pocket so it's available for you when you need it. All right? Once you've done that, you can go ahead and I like to do this right at the beginning so that I don't forget and I don't end up having to come back here and do it. Take your extra mask and hook it right onto the handle. Next step is you're going to grab your tarp and you're going to go ahead and deploy this out in the area that you've chosen. We like to triple fold this and then roll it up for two reasons. One, it's much easier to take it and just unfurl it. You're pretty much ready to go. You flip it over once here. You come over to the other side and you do the same thing. Now you're set to go. All right? Fits inside the compartment for the blue bag a lot better, and as you can see, it's much easier to just unfurl, flip, 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 flip on the other side, and your tarp is open and ready to go. Now you can see that we've drawn a bunch of pictures on the tarp. We tried to make it as easy as possible, so all you gotta do is match the tool with the picture. It's important that you understand that when you get your equipment, you want to make sure that you get it off of the RIC designated engine. For example, if I'm assigned to engine 67 and engine 67's assignment is to set up RIC, then all the equipment that we utilize for this is going to come straight up off of engine 67. If you try to get it off of your first line rig or rigs that are already on scene, it's more likely that all the stuff will already be being used by someone else. You want to make sure that you get it off of the RIC designated engine, with the exception of your rope bag, which is your large area search rope bag. That's going to come off of the truck, your chainsaw, and your circ saw. All three of those will come off of the truck. So the next thing you want to do is you've set up all your equipment. Now you're going to take your RIC bag. Like I said, I've already hooked the mask onto it, and you're going to go ahead and set it right on here. The most important thing of this is once you set up your pack here, you want to make sure that it's in a ready position. You want to make sure you turn the bottle on. And as you can see, one of the reasons why it's important to do that, this was a little bit loose, right? So think about this. You end up trying to turn your bottle on inside a smoky, dark, blacked out environment, and you find that you're having problems and all you hear is air coming out. You don't want to be troubleshooting that when you're inside the building. So it's important that you turn the bottle on before you go in. That way, if there's any problems, you'll be able to fix them out here. If you do have an actual deployment where you have to go in and do a rescue, then go ahead and turn your light on. The light serves two purposes. One is if you set your pack down and it's dark and it's smoky, at least it'll give you a little bit of a reference point, a little bit of light where you can at least find your pack. Second thing it'll do for you is this bottle does not have an alarm, so it's not going to let you know that you're running low on air. So at least it gives you a little bit of a light so you can kind of take a look at your gate and check it. So if it's a long-term rescue or you've been in there a while, it's important that you remember to check your bottle. So you've turned your bottle on, you've hooked your mask on, which you keep inside the bag so it doesn't get damaged as you're dragging this through a building. And if you need to do a deployment, then you would turn your bottle on. You would turn your light on. So all your stuff is already set out, your pack is ready to go. So the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to go ahead and put together the pack in an in-service position so that it can go back in the blue bag and then back inside the engine compartment. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the bottle. This is a 1-hour bottle, a Scott RIC pack. The key point here is that this bottle does not have a vibro alert alarm on it. So in order for you to know whether you're running out of air or not, you have to look directly at the gauge on the bottle. So if you're in any kind of an extended incident with the downed firefighter, you want to make sure that you check your bottle to make sure that your firefighter isn't running out of air. So it's important to remember that. The bottle has two hoses. It has a high pressure hose and a low pressure hose. The high pressure hose, you can recognize that because it's a stiff hose, it's braided, and typically what we use this for is it has a UAC connector on the end. UAC is a universal air connection, and what this does is it's a connector that goes right inside of the male connector on the SCBA pack. You connect this in, it equalizes the bottle, and then you can go ahead and take it off once you've equalized the bottles. And again, I want to go ahead and emphasize that all it does is it takes air from here and equalizes it to the air inside the SCBA pack for the downed firefighter. Once you've connected it, you take it off. If you're in any kind of an extended incident, then you may have to do this again. So you can go ahead and equalize the bottle again and then pull it off. And basically continue to do that until you don't have enough air inside this bottle to do that. This connection, if any debris or dirt gets inside here, then it's not going to work. So you need to make sure that you keep it covered and protected. All right, high pressure hose. The low pressure hose, you can tell it's a soft rubber hose. This has a regulator attached onto the end of it, and what happens is that air comes out of the bottle, high pressure, goes through the regulator drops it down so that it's at a breathable pressure for the downed firefighter. This has a quick connect MMR, which basically works like this. You push in on the regulator, back on the ring, and it comes right off. To connect it, all you do is push it right back on together, and it comes together back again. We don't typically use this because here in Richmond we do not have our own MMRs, but this can be used, for example, for Contra Costa County because they do have their own MMRs. Low pressure hose with a quick disconnect MMR. And the way we would use this is we just connect this right onto the mask and do a regulator exchange. So in essence what you have is you have high pressure hose, which goes directly into the bottle, and you have a low pressure hose which goes right onto the downed firefighter, to their mask. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and assemble the bottle. First thing we want to do is we want to make sure we get the high pressure hose line out of the way so that we can leave the low pressure hose line more accessible. This is what we're going to be using most commonly to do a mask regulator exchange. So we want to make sure that we can get to this easily and it doesn't get wrapped up with the high pressure hose line. So the best way to do that is we can go ahead and wrap up the line and put it right under the high pressure hose line strap. The strap basically sits on the bottle, and once you wrap up the high pressure line and tuck it under the strap, you're going to go ahead and cinch it up. There's a small piece of Velcro that comes up, and then you're going to put this right over the top of it. This strap stays on the bottle itself. It does not come off, versus the other two straps which do come off, and those are pretty much strictly used to attach the drag tarp onto the bottle itself. So the high pressure hose line strap used to attach the high pressure hose line onto the bottle. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put the RIC pack back together. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and secure the high pressure hose. The most common way to provide air for a downed fighter is gonna be your regulator exchange. So we're gonna go ahead and leave that loose and available, and we're gonna go ahead and tuck this under the high pressure hose strap. The high pressure hose strap stays on the bottle itself. It does not come off of the bottle, whereas the other two straps are used to attach the drag tarp. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up, give myself a little bit of room, and I'm just basically going to roll up the hose, and I'm going to tuck it in under the strap, and then I'm going to squeeze it down so it's kind of down below and out of the way. I'm going to cinch up the strap, get it nice and snug, and then bring it around. This is a very small piece of Velcro, right, that comes up and over, and then this other Velcro attaches right onto the top of that. Now you've got your high pressure hose nice and secure up against the side of the bottle. So even if you take the bottle out and you deploy it and you hook up your regulator, this isn't going to be flapping around and getting pulled. Once I've done that, the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and fold up my tarp and get it all set for me to put the bottle right on top of it. The tarp gets folded up in half, lengthwise. And the way we do it is when we fold it, we want to make sure that there is an up and a downside for this. The downside, or the inside of the tarp, is going to be where the strapping system is, right? So that's going to be folded on the inside. So I'm going to fold it in half lengthwise. Now I'm going to go ahead and line up all the handles, make them nice and neat. Once I do that, then I'm going to go ahead and triple fold it. All right, we triple folded the staging tarp. We're going to go ahead and triple fold this. I like to take one end and match it up with the furthest away piece of webbing on the tarp.